What's going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's go over the books I read this week. Starting over in the big two with DC, we have Dark Knights of Steel All-Winter issue number 2. I didn't read the first volume of this, so this is relatively new to me. I liked issue number 1. I like the characters, the reimagination of them, the world they live in, and I like the high stakes of this world itself. They're taking out a lot of people in this book, and it continues inside of this one in a real dramatic way. We uncover kind of like this child with this magical power. We get to see what that's all about inside of here, a showcase of those powers and the lengths people will go to protect this kid, right? And like, what does it mean to have this power in this world? We're going to be exploring that some more inside of these issues. Black and white tone, except for when it counts. Interesting set of characters, like I said, action-packed. So I'm really digging this one right now. Volume 2 is where I'm starting. Should I go back and read Volume 1? Let me know. Next up is Jenny Sparks issue number 1 from Tom King. I have no idea who this character is. Did a little bit of research, founding member of the Authority, and it seems like she's the, the spirit of the 20th century, born on the beginning of the 20th century, and then died on like December 31st at the end of the century, something like that. And this person has a lot of powers similar to like a god, right? Like electrical base, immortality, things like that. I don't know how the character is alive right now, but we have this new character who's going around wrecking shop right now, and she's been called upon to figure out what to do with this person, and we get a little showcase of her powers inside of here. The most intriguing thing about this one is this character alone and how she's written. If you're into Jessica Jones types characters, really strong female characters, PIs, characters that have a little mystery around them, I think you're going to like this one a lot, especially if you're a big Authority fan. You'll probably jump into this one and pick it right up immediately and run with it. People like me, we had to do a little bit of research to figure out who the character is. There's not a whole lot of resources online for this character either, besides ones that like read off the Wikipedia. If there's anything I need to know about this character to further enjoy this run, let me know down below in the comments. Let's jump over to Marvel real quick with Ultimate Spider-Man. We have issue number 8, Hickman on this one, as well as Kaketto and Wilson. Really cool previous issue that we are coming off of, and it was showcasing some of the powers of the new suits that Harry and Peter have. You know what I mean? They have these new suits right now. They're testing out the AI. We have Dr. Octavius helping them out, helping to understand the limitations of their suits, developing their AI consciousness, and all the things that go along with it. Their training is interrupted abruptly by Iron Lad, who kind of gives them the scenario, right? He gives them the lowdown of what's going on. We have a certain amount of time to prepare for this big battle coming up soon. So, try to figure some stuff out. We're putting together this team. This issue is really great though, because it has a lot of other conversations happening around the ancillary characters. Wilson Fisk brings together a big group of people with a bunch of new characters as well, and kind of outlines his plan a little bit, and it's really fun to see them react to it and like see that part develop, you know what I mean? Because so far we've been focused on the maker, but Wilson's got a lot of ideas too on what he wants to do with the world, and we get to see that unpack a little bit too. Of course, we have Uncle Ben spinning up the new project right now and trying to develop this new newspaper, and we get a little touch base on them and where they are with all that and some of the secret insider information they have from their moles at the Daily Bugle. So there's a lot of cool things happening in here, and a lot of new characters are introduced, especially on the villain side inside this issue. So I'm really excited to see where this book goes. I still don't know like how it's all going to tie in together. Are all these Ultimate books going to eventually bleed into one Ultimates book, and we're going to kind of ride it out like that, or are we going to keep these single issues, these single series going, and we're just going to mature those independently with some loose thread connecting them all? Interested to know what you guys' thoughts are. Let me know down below. Next Marvel book is Phoenix issue number 2 from Stephanie Phillips. I liked issue number 1 enough to jump into issue number 2 to see what's going on in here. In the first issue, we were introduced to these people that worshipped the gods, and they were aware of who Phoenix was, and Phoenix was this cosmic destroying force, right? And this cosmic entity actually did something inadvertently to doom this society. There's this new villain that landed down on their planet and is basically taking them out in a gentle kind of way. Gives me like Thanos vibes, where he'll wipe out a society, but he'll pay attention to one of the young kids to try to turn them. We have a little bit of that going on inside of this issue here. I really like that narrative. But when it comes to the actual Jean Grey Phoenix stuff in here, we're introduced to another character that we've known forever in the X lore, and this person just kind of pops up and destroys everything and then bounces out like that drunk stepdad. And that's exactly what he's portrayed as inside of this issue. Not really welcome, and everyone's kind of mad that he's in the picture right now. We're going to see where that leads ultimately, but I do like this villain that landed in this planet, and he's manipulating the team and everything, or manipulating the people and trying to, assert his power on this planet. That's actually a pretty cool thread that I hope that they focus more on inside of this book, and like how can that develop into something more cool. I hope that's where they're going with this book, but let me know what you guys think down below. Hickman and Capullo on Wolverine issue number 1. Highly anticipated book, in my opinion. This thing has been solicited for a long time, and I can't imagine many people not picking this one up this week. So let's talk about how good it was. So I will say, I think my expectations for this book were really, really high. And so with that said, it was fine. It was fine. The story itself, I mean, it's a Wolverine Savage Land kind of a book. This is taking place after one of the asteroid M's crashes on Earth or something like that. And, you know, there's this big power outage. People are trying to figure out what to do from that perspective. Wolverine's going around right now, and he teams up with some folks to just kind of check out this like power source that's still active. And they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. But, you know, it's obviously a trap, and we have to figure out what to do from there. We put together a really strong team, to be honest with you, and they go on this adventure kind of at their own peril. And so it was kind of cool to see that plan unravel. You know what I mean? Like, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments though, but like, is this like an Elseworld kind of a story? Because it kind of has to be, in my opinion, because some of the things in here are a little bit unbelievable. So like, correct my orientation. When I read this, I'm like, when does this take place? What is this book? What's happening right now? With that said, the interior art is really cool. I like seeing all that. The coloring is interesting. Again, it's action packed and it's high stakes and things like that, which is fun. And I can't wait to see what happens to Wolverine and his revenge mission that he goes on after the events of this issue. But let me know down below if this one met your expectations down below in the comments. All right, let's talk about Destro issue number 3 from Dan Waters. Love this book. Definitely has a horror vibe. I love the Destro character. I didn't really know a whole lot about Destro besides he was like a warmongerer when I was a kid watching some of the cartoons and stuff like that, action figures and whatnot. But this book right here gives me a lot of needed context about like how maniacal he is and how long his lineage has been going on, which I think is the most interesting part in here. He's always prepared for a battle, and even when things go wrong, he's able to find his way out of that situation. And we see that right here inside of this issue. He does some pretty dramatic things in here. He puts himself on the radar of some people that can help him, kind of an enemy of my enemy type of a situation. And it's really effective. And I love seeing that play out inside of this issue. So Destro issue number 3, one of my favorite Energon books out right now. It's exciting every single issue. Let me know if you guys are liking it. All right, next one from Lee Lowridge. We have Standstill issue number 1, Image Comics. Now, this one was really interesting. So we have a cool premise here with a guy who has an ability, this kind of watch, where he can pause time. Everyone obviously is still around him, and he can do whatever he wants to in that paused time. So he can get revenge on people. He can take people out. He can mess around with people, prank them, things like that. And that's what we see inside of this book. Some of the uses are just to get back at people who are jerks, but some of them are like, people hired me to execute some kind of revenge. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in a really brutal, fun kind of a way. So that whole part was really cool. I think it's going to take a couple of issues to figure out what exactly is going on. A little bit confused towards the end of the book. Easily understand the showcase of powers and things like that, but what are we building towards? Couldn't quite connect all the pieces, but I can't wait to see what issue number 2 brings. Let me know if you guys read it. Going into the Ghost Machine universe, we have Redcoat issue number 5 right here. Again, another great book from Ghost Machine. I love how the conspiracy around this immortality and who's all involved from an American historian perspective evolves from issue to issue. There's so many people's names that are dropped inside of here, and you can't help but try to connect all these dots. It would be like a feast for any kind of historian to go through here and like pick this apart a little bit, or just like enjoy the fan fiction that's being written here. Really love it from that perspective. The interior art from Brian Hitch is outstanding. There's some really cool moments inside this book like that right there. And it all just helps build the scene that we're in right now, builds the universe that we're in. And yeah, it just really complements the story. So great creative team on here. We're further uncovering the secrets behind this immortality, like who's behind it, all the different people that it's impacted, how to get rid of it, all the artifacts that are involved. So really, really cool book. Let me know if you're reading it. Next up from Kelly Thompson is Black Cloak issue number 7. This is volume number 2. If you have not read volume number 1, I recommend checking it out before getting into this one, because it's not only is it a cool sci-fi fantasy detective story, but it involves all the same characters and the events of the previous book to like roll into this one to make any sense. With that said, even with that knowledge, it's been a while since I read it. Even with that knowledge, I was a little bit confused about like where we are, what are we doing? But essentially the same detectives get back together. Our main character from the previous volume is kind of doing her own PI FBI work on the side right now, but her old partner brings her into this really gruesome serial killer case that he's working on right now, and he needs her help essentially, and it's that kind of a story, right? So she's going around checking out the crime scenes, looking at the clues and things like that. There's a little mystery inside this book too. She goes away for a little while, comes back kind of beat up. We don't really know what's going on there. We're going to be unpacking it going forward. The art in this book is spectacular. I love what Meredith McClain is doing in this book. So if you have not checked out Black Cloak, read volume number 1. You'll love that one, and you can jump into volume 2 right now. EC Comics with Epitaphs from the Abyss issue number 2. Love the trade dress on this one. I can't say it enough. Done a spectacular job with the presentation of this book. Some pretty good talent in here too, but I think no matter who's on these short stories, for me personally, I don't think I'm going to love them because they're so short. There's no character development time. But if you're into short stories by great creative teams, I think you're going to have a great time here. The first one, Matt Kent and Klaus Janson. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? This is insane. Jason Aaron on here too. Jorge Fornes is on here. Tyler Cook is on here. A bunch of different short stories. They're all fine. They're all society based. Like whatever the writer or artist happened to not like in society that day or whatever, they can just write this short story. And that's basically what we get inside of here. We get a guy who caused an accident because he was texting, and this killer goes out there and starts taking his fingers in a weird demonic way. That was pretty cool. We got a really cool zombie story in here from a perspective we have never seen before, as far as I'm aware. And that was pretty interesting. So again, if you're into these short stories, I think you're going to have a fun time with this book. The trade dress is insane too, and it's EC Comics, so it's hard not to support them in their triumphant return. So let me know what you guys thought about Epitaphs from the Abyss down below. Dick Tracy, issue number 4 from Mad Cave Studios. This book has been pretty good so far. If you're a big Dick Tracy fan, you're obviously going to like this. A lot of familiar faces in here as well, with like Flat Top and some of the other bosses and whatnot, and the art inside is really cool as well, really dynamic and colorful. So they're doing a great job from that perspective, bringing you that old vibey feel and making you feel like this world is actually really dangerous and who can you trust? That's what the story is all about. We get some revelations as to why the murder in the first issue happened, so we understand what's going on there. But we get introduced to a lot of the mob bosses, and we get into a real sticky situation at the end of this issue too. Dick Tracy is going way out in the open, trying to uncover this entire mystery, but does he go too far? We're going to see in the next coming issues. But issue number 4, great issue. Let me know if you read it. Planetary Expansion from Critical Entertainment. This is chapter 3, issue number 2. Great story here. We actually have this vessel that's about to leave Earth. All these different people are excited for this journey. They're going to leave the planet, presumably never to return, saying goodbye to their loved ones. There's all this drama, though, layered underneath this. We follow this character who's got a little shady past. I think we're going to uncover more of that later. He gets into a lot of trouble right before this launch. He's trying to uncover this mystery, too. He's on this spaceship right now, trying to get away. He's followed by some of these goons. And then we have the people running the ship themselves. Like, there's a lot of interesting things happening there. A lot of bad blood, too, as to like them being able to do this, a lot of regulations, a lot of backstabbing, things like that going on here. So there's drama on every single level, and it's all compacting right now, right as we're about to hit that launch button to go out in space. So I can't wait to see, you know, what kind of drama we're pulling forward, what the cast of characters is on this ship, and like what do we do from here, because we're all locked together in this same place. So really cool book. Let me know if you guys are reading it. Jim Zub on Conan the Barbarian, issue number 14. Man, this book is so good. We have this woman that's portrayed on the covers right here. We were introduced to her in the previous issue. There's a young Conan right now going into the mountains where his god is supposed to be. He's been raised his whole life with the understanding that the gods are in the mountains, right? Conan's testing that faith right now, going in there himself and trying to figure out exactly where these gods are for whatever reason, right? To restore his faith. While he's there taking on nature and the odds, he's ambushed by these guys that live out there. They, of course, have their own survival troubles and things like that, their own wars that they're fighting. He strikes up a deal with their leader. He's kind of aligned with them at the moment to help them out because they were slaughtered previously, and that's exactly what we're doing inside of here. Now, this woman that's on the cover here, she's actually a spirit, or she's actually like a daughter of the gods. She's watching all these guys fight and bicker and just try to like live their lives, and she doesn't really see the point of it, but she's captivated by Conan because of his will and his sheer power alone. So she's kind of obsessed with him in a way, and she makes her presence felt towards the end of this issue. Really strong issue. Love this one. One of my favorite Conan issues of this entire run, right here with issue number 14. Very strong. Let me know if you guys are reading it. Well, guys, that's everything I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below in the comments what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit the bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you in the comments.